We're almost set to get underway between the Cardinal and the Nittany Lions. That brings us to tonight's starting lineups. They're brought to you by Tachikara, and we look at the starters for Stanford as we get to that in just a moment. These two teams, top 10 programs, two of the best coaches in all of the country. They've been around this game for a long time, Audrey. As John Dunning and Russ Rose, they know this sport well.
Yeah, they are so well respected in this sport, as they should be. They both have great histories, fantastic programs. 5
national titles for Russ Rose, 4 national titles for John Dunning. The two of them have met for the national title twice, that coming when Penn State won the national title in 2007 and 2008. And now they meet in the regular season for the first time since 2001 at Rec Hall, only the second time in the history of this series that they have met at Rec Hall. And this Penn State fan base is ready for something to cheer about, and this volleyball program has given them a lot in the past.
Absolutely, and tonight when Stanford, ranked 9th in the nation, is coming on Penn State's home turf, you know that the crowd is going to get into it and back up their Nittany Lion team.
Nittany Lions coming off a year where they saw numerous streaks come to a close. The Big Ten title streak of 8 consecutive titles, that ended as Nebraska won in their first year in the conference, and then they did not win the national championship for the first time in 5 seasons. So this Penn State team is hungry. They've said they're ready to get back to the top.
That's right, and it's a scary lineup this year because they have talent and experience, and that's exactly what you need to win those big games.
Rec Hall can be one of the top venues in all of the nation. Carissa Cook will head back to serve for the Cardinal to get things started in this top 10 matchup. We're underway from Rec Hall, and Penn State will have the first chance. It's to McClendon off the block and the point for the Nittany Lions.
Deja's got a lot of responsibility on her shoulders. Stanford will serve her and try and wear her down as the match goes on, but she passes that ball perfectly, shuffles her feet to the outside, and gets the first kill for Penn State.
The always dangerous Micah Hancock. We talked about her serve in the open. Stanford unable to handle it. Overpass kill for Penn State.
Well, that is what Micah brings to this court and to her setting ability. But again, you're going to see that topspin jump serve, and it curves to the left. We'll see if Stanford adjusts their starting position and shuffle to their left a little bit to try and get that pass up.
And an ace. The second chance for Micah Hancock. She gets Penn State's 3rd point of the match with that ace.
Yeah, you've got to fully commit when you are passing the ball. It's either in or out. Commit to it either way. A little bit of hesitation there from Stanford, and it touches the player as the ball sails out.
Back-to-back aces for Micah Hancock. She had 6 service aces against Western Kentucky. She can do this all night.
Okay, so what do you do to stop her? Your base position has to change a little bit, and your hips should angle a little bit more to the right front area of the court. We'll see if Dunning makes any sort of change.
Just clipping off the net, so finally a chance to get into system for Stanford. Rachel Williams gets the first point and kill for the Cardinal.
Well, you can see how good Stanford is when they are in system and the ball is passed up to the setter. They've got a bunch of weapons in the front row that we will talk about tonight. A nice outside deep swing from Stanford.
Freshman Brittany Howard back to serve. Scott this time into the block, and it's down for Stanford.
Right away you can see the speed from the middle blocker closing to the outside, and they line perfectly nose to nose with that hitter, taking away cross court.
Rachel Williams and Inky Ajanaku combining there. Williams got the hand on it, but Ajanaku closing it off. Hancock with the back set, and McClendon puts it down.
Just thumping the ball on the right side. She sees the court, she sees the space between the blocker's hands and the antenna, and just rips it.
Now she'll have a chance to serve for Penn State. Hancock with the early 2 service aces and a swing from Rachel Williams, and that works well for the Cardinal. Rachel Williams had 22 kills the last time these two teams met in the Nike Big Four Classic last year, but that was at home in Palo Alto.
That's right. She had a little bit of a shoulder issue, and seems like that shoulder is looking really healthy there in that swing.
Middle to Nia Grant, and on the quick, the middle works out for Penn State.
What Penn State can do when they are in system. Weapons all over that front line. Nia Grant gets up quick. She's in the air with her arm pulled back as Hancock is touching the ball. Perfect position and great timing from Penn State.
Now the new libero for the Nittany Lions, Dominique Gonzalez, back to serve. Back set goes to Williams. Good up in the back row by McClendon. Scott trying to do something, and she'll get the point as the pass doesn't go for Stanford. As we look at the starting lineup there tonight, brought to you by Tachikara, and the starters for the Cardinal. We talked about Wopat and Williams, but Jordan Burgess, the freshman, she leads the Stanford team in kills in the early going of this season. Gonzalez still serving for Penn State with the 7-3 lead in set number 1. That one is long and a service error on the Nittany Lions. That may be where they miss Allie Longo a little bit. Longo transferred from Penn State, now with Hawaii. Dominique Gonzalez takes over the libero role, but Allie Longo was a great member of the team from the service line.
Yeah, she was, but what a great opportunity for Dominique Gonzalez to prove herself, and what a credit to her to have the libero shirt. She's just a sophomore.
Gonzalez, considered by Russ Rose to be the most reliable passer on the team. That's something you would expect from a libero position. And Scott hammers home another kill as we take a look at Penn State's lineup. And we mentioned Dominique Gonzalez as the libero, but a freshman to keep your eyes on. Megan Courtney on the outside. She's in that L2 position.
That's right. She was the number 4 recruit in the country. Russ Rose is so excited about her potential and is said to have an amazing volleyball IQ. She knows the game.
Spalding just sent that one over, but Hancock with the swing. She has a great left-handed swing at the net.
That's right, and if you're Stanford, you have got to know when she's front court. The left side blocker has got to commit. You see the left side blocker for Stanford just a little bit late. When she snaps the ball, you got to be ready on the block for that one.
Early 9-4 lead for Penn State in set number 1, thanks to Micah Hancock. Back to Rec Hall in a moment. Saw one block early already for the Cardinal. They led the nation in blocks last season, and that was a big part of the match between these two teams last year as the Cardinal outblocked the Nittany Lions. Tough serve from Ariel Scott, and on the other end, it's Carly Wopat.
Well, Wopat, the All-American on Stanford's team, very physical, and she is just a fantastic athlete. She stands out in the gym because she's got that athletic bounce, and she takes off and leaps off one foot in that backslide.
As we talked about, she'll be involved in the block. One of the matchups to watch, her versus Katie Slay, two of the best at the net that you'll see in the entire nation. Hancock goes for the back row to Scott. Cardinal able to keep it in play. This time to middle to Slay, and it's down for Penn State.
Russ Rose talked about how improved Katie Slay is this season over last, and she was pretty good last season. Offensively, though, she's getting active here in the first set, and because of her height and her physicalness, she's able to hit over top of that block.
Megan Courtney serving for the Nittany Lions. Tip up by Brittany Howard is sent back. And net almost tapped down, and it is. It's going to be a net violation against the Cardinal.
Going for that second attempt, and she was over the net, touching the net.
We talked about Katie Slay, Defensive Player of the Year. She's also the reigning Defensive Player of the Week for Penn State. Had 16 blocks in the opening weekend down in Louisville. Howard. Another look for her off the block and the point for the Nittany Lions. That's what John Dunning talked about. His team was being tooled often in their match last week against Hawaii.
That's right, and it's often a part of a team's game that comes with time. And I know Coach Dunning is a little concerned about it because against Hawaii, they were getting tooled so often, and it was frustrating for him to see because these girls are very talented blockers. They just have to come together, maybe get a little bit more disciplined, reach over instead of straight up.
Kristen Carpenter, the former setter, now in for the Nittany Lions. Maddie Bugg setting for the Cardinal as the freshman getting her chance here on the road. Scott down the line and gets the kill.
That's a serious shot. That ball was hugging the line. A talented kid, number 1, Ariel Scott is. Take a look at that. If you're Stanford, if your left foot is on the line, then you know whether the ball is in or out. An inch or two inside the court, you start guessing whether or not it's in or out.
Kyle Gilbert was guessing. Overpass kill for Nia Grant. Everything working at the moment for the Nittany Lions.
And you look at this lineup for Penn State. Nia Grant, just a sophomore, really dominating on that play.
13-6 lead. Another timeout for the Cardinal as they trail it in set number 1. For all the latest news, insight, and information on Big Ten volleyball, follow us on Twitter at BTN Volleyball. Plus, you can ask Audrey anything you want about tonight's match or the world of BTN volleyball. We'll try to answer a couple of those coming up later in the match. Audrey, I've got a question for you now. This Penn State team playing in a different situation this year. We mentioned that they've been so used to winning titles, not only in the Big Ten, but national titles. They come to it this year in an unfamiliar spot. What does this team need to do to get back to the top of women's volleyball?
Well, you know, the team that made it to the top were not these girls. So these girls have walked into a program that has been great. They need to make a mark for themselves. They certainly have the talent to do it. And with Russ Rose leading them, I'm sure that they will make it very far in the tournament. They look solid again. Experience and talent does it.
First time in 5 years that the Nittany Lions have not raised a banner in their home opener. This their home opener against the Cardinal. They played last week at the Active Anchor Challenge in Louisville. Stanford played in Hawaii at the Chevron Rainbow Wahine Invitational, where they lost to Hawaii but won 2 other matches. So these two teams, so early that when we spoke to both coaches, they said they were focusing on their side of the net. Not worrying about going up and trying to stop their opponent, but getting things right for their team.
Yeah, it's too early on in the season to do heavy scouting on your opponent. You really got to take control of the things on your side of the net. Effort, communication, competitiveness. And it's a good opportunity for coaches to plug in some new people in the lineup and see what they can do.
Carpenter still serving for Penn State. Bug finds a Janaku in the middle. And freshman to freshman connection there for the Cardinal.
And that's exciting to see for Stanford. What a talented young lady you're seeing there. Hitting a 31, and she gets her feet in good position. Hitting a 31 is all about getting your feet to the spot on the net that the setter's going to put the ball in, and then it's a fast arm swing from there. She does it like a pro.
Minky Janaku, the second-ranked recruit coming out of high school for this Stanford team. A tough pass, joust at the net. Clendon puts a swing on it. Middle again to a Janaku and another kill for the Cardinal.
That's a nice looking transition play by Stanford. Not a big swing from Penn State. They were able to get a good pass up to the setter and running a spread offense. So nice job by Stanford.
That time seeing Carissa Cook back in setting. You'll see both setters throughout this. John Dunning said he might run a 6-2. Cook with a back set to Williams, blocked at the net by McClendon.
Well, Cook is really doing a good job for Stanford, moving the ball around offensively, but this time Penn State is ready. A nice disciplined block. They read the play. Look at that movement to the outside. Smother the ball at the net.
14-8 lead, and Micah Hancock back serving already with 2 aces. Out of system for the Cardinal. Hancock with the back set. The tip, mixing it up is Scott, and able to keep it alive was Gilbert. Long rally going here, and Williams sends it long, point for Penn State.
Well, I'm sure there's people out there going, wait a minute, she kicked it with her foot. That's perfectly legal. Great heads-up play by Stanford right here. That ball is in play. You don't see it very often, but it's perfectly legal.
If you'll remember, the same thing happened for the U.S. men's team in London. A kickball there kept it alive, too. Another service ace for Hancock. No! Able to get to it where the Cardinal. Awkward set. Scott into the block, but it's out of bounds and the point to Penn State.
You can just see does to the opponent. Just takes them completely out of their system, and then they feel rattled, like they're playing catch-up. Stanford really never getting a solid swing on that ball throughout the whole rally.
It's a great effort by the Cardinal to keep that one alive. That time into the net, and Stanford gets the break they needed. Anytime that you can get Micah Hancock off the service line, an opponent's going to be happy. We mentioned she set the single season service record for Penn State with 91. It's McClendon. That's going to go off the antenna, so the point to the Cardinal.
Yeah, as soon as the ball hits the antenna, it's out of bounds. The antenna is an extension of the sideline. So that ball clearly hit the antenna out of bounds. Point for Stanford.
Overpass. Rachel Williams can't finish it off. Gonzalez with a good dig. Near side to Burgess, who gets her first kill.
Jordan Burgess, that's a serious attack on the left side. She sees the block in front of her, has the ability to take her eye off the ball, look at the block, and then track that ball again and swing big.
Scott off the block. Gilbert with the bump set to Burgess. And Penn State's not able to keep that in play, so a couple of kills in a row for Jordan Burgess, the freshman.
10 kills, 11 digs in Hawaii. So what a nice start she's had to this season. A real asset to this team. This heavy arm, and she's able to move the ball around a lot on that outside shot.
Burgess with 2 double-doubles in the first 3 matches of the season for Stanford. We look at the Nike Big Four Volleyball Classic. This is the 3rd year of this tournament. It was decided between Russ Rose contacting these other universities, Florida and Stanford hosting so far. The Cardinal undefeated. Penn State has not done well in this early season tournament, but Russ said he wanted to have the challenge for his team because he doesn't want to go into the Big Ten season without them facing better competition.
Right, if you're one of the best teams, you've got to play the best teams, and it's a great measuring tool to see what you will do in a heavy Big Ten conference.
Tomorrow, football returns to BTN as we have a full slate of great Big Ten action. First at noon, Urban Meyer leads the Buckeyes against Miami University. Then you'll see Purdue host Eastern Kentucky or Northern Iowa and Wisconsin. Then it all closes out with Indiana State taking on the Hoosiers in prime time. It all starts tomorrow at noon Eastern on BTN. Back in 2010, we remember the matchup between these two teams when Stanford ended Penn State's historic 109-match winning streak that dated back to 2007. That included 3 national titles over the course of 4 seasons. What an incredible streak that was, but it was Stanford who bookended it.
That's right, and I want to re-emphasize that. 109 consecutive wins. That was incredible. Really happy for Russ Rose and the teams and all the players that played for him, because that was truly incredible in the world of volleyball.
A couple of those players with the U.S. national team in London. Both of these teams represented with 2 players on the indoor national team. That's a service there by Brittany Howard. The point goes to Penn State out of the timeout. Howard will check out as Hannah Benjamin comes in. Howard, one of several freshmen, and we talk about contributions they expect from these freshman players. Brittany Howard, she comes from a great lineage. Her mom was a 3-time All-American at Pacific, not under John Dunning. Dunning arrived after Eileen Dempster at the time left, but Brittany Howard comes in with a lot of experience from her mom.
Well, she sure does. She's a nice all-round player. Not a huge arm, but there you see a nice arm.
Penn State just 7 points away in set number 1. Seen flashes from the Cardinal, but as John Dunning said, when he's mixing up the lineup, consistency is still what they're looking for. Penn State almost had the block of the net. Another chance. Courtney with a swing. Lacey Fuller in the back row, and Gonzalez will just get the bump set free ball opportunity. Again, the bump set. This time to Scott finds the back corner.
And what Scott does particularly well as she gets her feet to the ball. It's not a system ball. The bump set is not perfect. Watch how her last 2 steps, she gets to the ball and she goes high off the hands. It's a great footwork movement by Ariel Scott. Good job for her to hit high off the blocker's hands.
6 kills already for Ariel Scott. Hancock will go to Courtney. Williams off the tape, and that's out of bounds.
Right now, just a few too many unforced errors by Stanford. And when you are a great team like Stanford is, you want to eliminate as many unforced errors as you can on your side of the net. I'm sure Dunning's going to talk to his squad about that.
It's Burgess who ends it there, and not an error for Jordan Burgess. Stanford with a much-needed kill as they trail it by 7 in set number 1.
You know, the thing about Burgess that is really interesting is she has the ability to pass and hit, and she has the ability to do both equally well. There's not a lot of kids in the country that can do that. So considering she's just a freshman, she's taken up a lot of room in passing, is really exceptional.
Big reason why she was named the Gatorade National High School Player of the Year last season. Back row attack from McClendon, and the point for the Nittany Lions.
McClendon swinging well and with that smile on her face. That back row attack, she really leaps past the 10-foot line. Such a gifted athlete. I heard that they retired her school jersey. I think she's way too young to have a retired jersey.
Back at her high school in Louisville as the team was there for the active ankle challenge, as that one is out of play. Her high school took the time to retire the number 8 jersey after what she had done during her tenure there, and also in honor of what she had done with the Nittany Lions, the 2010 Most Outstanding Player in the National Championship and Freshman of the Year, an AVCA First-Team All-American last season.
She's a pretty special kid.
Miscommunication between the center, Carissa Cook, and Carly Wopat, as Penn State will get one more point closer to that first set win.
And I like the way Carissa Cook is talking to her middle. They're going to shake that play off and try their best to get this next point.
Cook is senior, Wopat junior, so they played together often. And this one's going to go outside the antenna, so the point to Penn State, and they have set point number 1 in the first set. I don't think many people would have thought it would have been this one-sided in the early going of this match.
No, but Dunning knew that Penn State's teams, Russ Rose's teams, always serve tough and play great defense, and that's exactly what we're seeing from Penn State here in the first set.
It'll be Gonzalez trying to close out the set. Burgess. Gonzalez is there. The set goes to Scott down the line, and the point for Penn State. They take set number 1 in dominant fashion, hitting 370 in the first set of play to win 25-13 over Stanford. We'll be back for the second set as the Nittany Lions are on top 1-0 here at Rec Hall. Jordan Burgess led the Cardinal with 3 kills in the first set on 7 swings. Micah Hancock back to serve once more. 2 aces already. Back-to-back came in the first set. Maddie Bug finding Carly Wopat. And again, we see the change in the setter. They're mixing it up for Stanford.
That's right, and you see the versatility of Carly Wopat. She's able to hit at the pin there. It's a tough ball for Penn State to handle in the backcourt.
A bit surprised that was only her second swing so far in the match. You know Stanford is going to continue to look to her. That one off the tape from Burgess. Into the block and down as Wopat making her presence felt.
Well, right now for Stanford, if they are able to serve tough enough where Hancock has to come off the net to set the ball, it makes things a little bit easier for Stanford's block. They just release to the outside, and they are nose to nose with that outside hit.
Bug with the back row to Burgess, and no one there to cover for Penn State. And a great attack for the freshman for Stanford.
Jordan Burgess, she was the starting left side for the youth national team at the World Championships, and she was their go-to hitter. A A lot of teams were serving her, but she stood up to the challenge as she's standing up to the challenge tonight.
Scott sends it long in an air on the Nittany Lions, and similar to what we saw in set number 1, except the opposite this time. Penn State jumped out to an early lead. It's Stanford in set 2.
Right, and Stanford just serving tough and really getting Penn State out of system. More predictable sets from Penn State's side of the net. And here we see number 6 coming in for Penn State, Maddie Martin.
Maddie Martin and Megan Courtney have kind of been battling it out for that second outside spot. Maddie started the match against Louisville last Saturday, while Megan Courtney started the first 2 matches this season. Scott mixing it up this time. Maddie Bug able to cover. Bo Cather sends it over. Stanford was ready for that middle attack. Gilbert with the up. Into the antenna, and it'll be point for Penn State, their first of set 2.
So the hitting error allows Penn State to score its first point. So again, that's an unforced error on Stanford's side of the net.
We will not see Ayanna Whitney for the Nittany Lions tonight. She missed last weekend, and she will miss this weekend as well. It's an unspecified reason from the Penn State coaching staff, but she is out for the matches in the Nike Big Four Classic. So Penn State missing one of their players who could certainly contribute on the outside.
Ball handling error there. Penn State wanted to just send a free ball over the net. You saw how that ball had backwards spin on it. So referee blew his whistle. Point goes to Stanford.
And it will be Wopat serving. Martin with her first swing. Stanford able to get to it. They were just going to have to send one over by Howard, but a good swing by her. Martin tries to go for the back corner, can't find it, and the point goes to the Cardinals.
Maddie Martin was inserted for serve-receive reasons. She has the challenge. She needs to pass the ball and score on the pin. We'll see if she gets the ball here on serve-receive.
Martin dealing with a bit of a nagging injury, as Russ Rose had said, so they may watch her time, limit her, as Inky Ajanaku sends it over and is able to get the touch, and another point for Stanford. So they have really opened up the margin here in set 2.
Well, she is a 6'3" gifted athlete that really elevates, and you can see how high she gets over the net. She just tips the ball in, and she's so very effective.
Stanford leads it in set 2, 7-1, but they trail it in the match as Penn State is on top at Rec Hall.
It's been somewhat of a teeter-totter match, and I would imagine that both teams are going to take slugs at one another, and it could very well go 5 sets.
Hancock has to run this one down. Howard. Brandon does a good job in the back row. Now Scott with a chance. Scott with a couple of errors in the beginning of this second set, but she gets the kill there.
Well, Stanford did what they had to do on the block. They slowed the ball down, and that's perfect. The backcourt has to be able to get a transition dig from that. The backcourt player hesitated a little bit, did not move her feet, and it resulted in a Penn State point.
Gonzalez with another tough serve, her second service ace, and that's what you want to see out of a timeout.
Absolutely. Serving tough really can change momentum, as we have seen. You want to go back and give it your best every time you're at the service line.
Russ Rose had mentioned that if Stanford can control the ball, they can score from everywhere on the floor. So Penn State doing their best job to keep them out of system. And miscommunication between Gonzalez and Maddie Martin gets the point to the Cardinals.
You know, that's really frustrating because as players, you know you've got to call it and then recall it and then tell someone else to take it. Both of them aren't really looking at each other, so you have to communicate even louder than what you're used to communicating. Call it over and over and over. Now they just have to shake it off and go to the next play.
Middle to Slay, and that's her second kill of the match.
Well, it is a nice matchup to see Katie Slay versus Inky Ajanaku. Both of them are so physical, great leapers. It's a fun matchup.
Howard looking for that back corner, and Penn State can't get the pass, so a good decision by the freshman to give Stanford that opportunity.
Now there you saw from Brittany Howard, not a huge arm, but she's kind of got a lot of shots. It wasn't a thumper of a hit by any means, but she's able to take any sort of ball and do something crafty with it.
Howard serving. Hancock. It's a tough pass there. And down the line, Burgess able to put it away, and Stanford, now they're hitting on all cylinders like Penn State was in set one.
Well, from Penn State's left side, they're just not getting big swings. You've got to beat the other team to get the kill. And right now, Stanford is able to dig those easy balls, transition, and score.
Hancock again having to run this one down. Penn State just not getting a good first pass. Out of reach of Inky and Janaku. Megan Courtney able to save it. It'll be Williams off the touch and down the point to Stanford.
Yeah, it is all Stanford right now, controlling tempo 100%, and they're doing it from the service line. You said it. Penn State can't handle that first pass. They've got Hancock running all over the place, and they're sending tons of free balls over the net.
Howard came in with 2 service aces on the season. Keeping Penn State out of system, another free ball. Stanford not with good communication there, but Williams with a powerful swing and point.
Holy moly. Not a great free ball pass from Stanford, but it doesn't matter when Williams up there. Take a look at this. Man, a nice looking swing she's got.
Just off the touch from Megan Courtney. Hancock is set to Slay, high off the block. Gilbert. Hook to Burgess. Overpass and another kill for Rachel Williams, as Williams with 5 kills now in the match.
She's showing why she was an All-American. So skilled, so physical, really just dominating right now in the second set.
This looks like it's heading towards a similar score from what we saw in the first set for Penn State. Don't miss any exciting action this week on BTN.com. Go to video.btn.com this week and check out our upcoming volleyball schedule. There's plenty more volleyball to be seen online at video.btn.com. This Penn State team knows that they have a challenge tonight, but another challenge for them as well tomorrow as they'll face off against Texas, the number 2 team in the nation. Texas beat Florida this afternoon here at Rec Hall in straight sets. So 2 challenging matches in a row for the Nittany Lions. Stanford, on the other hand, they have offered up challenging themselves as well, going out to play Hawaii in the Stan Sheriff Center, one of the best atmospheres in all of the nation. And then they come out here to Rec Hall. So both of these teams want the early challenges.
And take a look at this top 10 poll. Clearly dominated by Big Ten, Pac-12 teams. Here you see our matchup tonight. Number 9, Stanford at Penn State.
Top 10 coaches flow coming into today. That's before the matches of this afternoon. Purdue lost to Washington. Texas earning their win over Florida. 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25, another 6 for the Pac-12. The Big Ten did have 7 overall until this week, so a bit of a change, but the number 1 overall team after that win against UCLA last Saturday is the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
That's right, and Nebraska had a really tough time with UCLA. It really came down to the 5th set, and they only won by a couple points. But nonetheless, when you walk away with a win, you're going to move up those rankings, and Nebraska is sitting at the top of the ABCA coaches poll.
You have to imagine that John Dunning and the Cardinal maybe got a little bit of tape on UCLA from that match, saw what the Cornhuskers were able to do late to try to slow down Tabby Love. The former Minnesota Golden Gopher was stellar in 2 sets, but Nebraska was able to slow her down. Courtney with a kill for Penn State, and she's trying to fire up her teammates.
That's a serious swing from the freshman Megan Courtney. Take a look at her. Wow, that's a great follow-through, great snap. And then that energy, it is totally contagious, and she's got it. She is a live wire out there.
That is what Penn State did not have last year. As Burgess with a big swing, and Penn State can't handle it, point to Stanford.
Burgess showing her athleticism by moving in on that attack. So you want to use the entire net and really be deceptive. If as a setter, all you set is the pin, the blockers get into a rhythm. So just by moving Burgess in slightly, it catches Penn State's block off guard.
A service error by Kyle Gilbert. Libero for the Cardinal gives Penn State a point. Burgess, a 6'2 freshman outside hitter out of Fort Myers, Florida. We talked about where she ranked and how she came in and really made some noise in her first 2 matches. And both of these coaches talked to us about the freshmen and said the big thing that they needed to watch for was adjusting to the speed of the game. That's always something that's a struggle, and I know, Audrey, that you noticed that from a number of players throughout your time covering women's volleyball.
Well, absolutely. These girls are gifted athletes, especially the ones that are playing out on the court right now. But nonetheless, for these freshmen, it's so hard for them to catch up to the collegiate speed of the game. However, I am seeing Jordan Burgess not look like a freshman at all. She's taking the passing responsibility on her shoulders, and she's showing why she was the 2011 Gatorade National High School Player of the Year.
Dunning had mentioned he had never seen a class as deep as the class he brought in. 5 players this year, all in the top 15 in terms of ranking as recruits, and he expected them to make the impact that they have so far this year.
Yeah, you know, other coaches cannot stand it when Stanford gets 5 of these players. Maybe to get 2 or 3 is pretty normal, but to get 5 impact players like Stanford got is truly exceptional.
15-6 lead in the second set for the Cardinal. And Micah Hancock back there, Penn State would love to see her go on a run. That time it won't work out, though, as a service error on Micah Hancock. And when she is as dangerous as she is, and puts so much on that serve, you know that she's going to sometimes just miss it. And you take that when you know that she also can get so many service aces.
Oh, absolutely. You just got to take the good with the occasional bad. I really haven't seen her miss too many, although she's missed a couple here in this match so far.
Back set goes to McClendon. Gilbert can't handle it, but Burgess is there to clean it up. And a free ball chance now for Penn State. Goes to McClendon. Scott through the block and down.
Scott is so good. Ball just kind of ping-ponged around the block, hitting off both of the blockers' hands, found its way to the floor.
Russ Rose had said that Ariel Scott had times where she was unstoppable last year, but then other times where she would disappear in the match. They needed her to be more consistent, and he's hoping that in her 3rd year with the Nittany Lions, that's going to be the case.
Yeah, she definitely had a breakout sophomore season, but you are right. There were times when she was just so quiet, and you wondered why she didn't take on more of an offensive role. Nonetheless, she's really coming on strong here in her junior year. She's looking so good here in this match.
That one will be off the Penn State block, and the kill for Morgan Bocather. It's a 17-8 lead in the second set. Penn State won set number 1, 25-13, and a reversal here in set number 2 as it's been the Cardinal dominating.
Dunning taking the opportunity to insert other people in the lineup, see what they can do, let them play without a lot of pressure on their shoulders. There you see Morgan.
Morgan Bocather and Haley Spellman both getting time on that right side, and an error by Stanford. We talked about the errors they had against Hawaii. They not only had 18 attack errors, but 10 service errors. So you count that up, 28 points that they just gave away.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that drive coaches crazy. But honestly, early on in the season, you're not going to play your best volleyball. Those are areas that can be improved, and you won't see Stanford play that way postseason as you did in the preseason. So I think those are errors that really will not define Stanford.
Back row for McClendon. Good dig by Gilbert. It's Bocather. This time it's Gonzalez. Bug. And the block for Penn State is there at the net, but it's still alive as it comes off. Now Slay in the middle. Bocather trying to end it. Gonzalez able to keep it alive. Free ball chance now, just sent actually over. It's out of play by Micah Hancock.
Well, defense is an attitude, and Stanford has got the defensive attitude. Look at this. Great get there. Another one into the net. One hand stabs all over the place on Stanford's side of the net. But hey, the ball goes over. Great scrappy play by Stanford.
The 3 players who touched it, they're all freshmen. Burgess to Ajanaku to Howard sending it over. as they were to keep it alive and eventually win that rally. Courtney off the block and gets the point.
I know that I am going to enjoy watching this kiddo play. Megan Courtney on the left side, swings big, long and lean. I like her foot speed to the ball, and then again, wiping that ball off the block. Such a veteran move by just a freshman.
Russ Rose talked about her being that all-skills player who does everything well and could be this team's best overall player when you incorporate all the different skills that she does at such a high level.
Oh, without a doubt. She's known around the country to be an all-around threat. Like we said, a skilled player. Sometimes you see players that can pass well or swing well, but to find one like her that can do it all is really exceptional.
She got another chance there, but Stanford able to cover. Gonzalez will go with the bump set to Courtney. That one's going to go long, though, and an error on Penn State as Stanford draws within 6 points of taking the second set.
Stanford looking like a completely different team here in the second set, playing with all kinds of confidence, very fluid, relaxed, scrappy defense. So I'm sure Dunning is very pleased with the performance of his Stanford team in the second set.
It really is that mix of veteran players and youth for Stanford. Courtney, this time down the line, she misses. Actually, no, it's off the block to the point to Penn State.
Great shot, just going for the fingertips. And what she does is she makes contact on the ball, and then you see how her arm comes across her body. Big time move.
And it will be Courtney to serve for the Nittany Lions. Middle to Ajanaku, block from McClendon.
Ajanaku needing the ball set a little bit higher at 6'3", and having the jumping ability that she has, you have to extend her a little bit more to take advantage of her height and her jumping ability.
To Burgess, Gonzalez can't handle it, and it's another kill for Jordan Burgess.
That inside set from Cook to Burgess once before. Seems like that is a shot she likes. So if you're Penn State, you've got to remember that when she's in the front row, you need to talk to your back row players if you're a blocker and be ready not only to block it, but to dig it in the back row.
Back row for Ariel Scott and Carly Wopat. Very difficult to stop A. Scott from the back row.
That's right. Well, Stanford's block bit it. They went to the wrong pin, and the ball was set to the backcourt. So you have to just stay put, wait till the ball is set, and react to that.
7-point lead, and Lacey Fuller will check in to serve for the Nittany Lions. Cook has to run it down, finds Burgess. Block is there for Penn State. Back to Burgess. Great up in the back row by Courtney. The Nittany Lions, another point, and they draw close here in the second set.
Great dig by Megan Courtney in the backcourt. She extends, gets her forearms under the ball. Perfect form. She really saved that point for her team.
Middle to Wopat. Back set goes to Scott. Cook has to run it down. Burgess. McClendon sends it over and then sends it back.
Well, this will be an interesting test for Stanford. They had a huge lead, and now Penn State is inching their way back into it. How will Stanford react? Big momentum change here with the overpass kill. If you're a front row player, you love those balls that trickle right on top of the net, and you see no block in front of you. It's a guaranteed kill.
John Dunning will bring in Brittany Howard. As now we finally hear the Penn State crowd back into it. We hadn't heard much from them since the beginning of the match. This can be a deafening building to play in. For Deja McClendon, that's kill number 8, and Penn State within 4.
Lacey Fuller with a great dig on her side of the net. Hancock runs it down and says sets McClendon up. Take a look at that swing right off the blocker's hands and into the stands.
It was once a 9-point lead for the Stanford Cardinal, and now Penn State on this run. What have you seen from the Nittany Lions to get back in this, Audrey?
Well, you know what? It's really what Stanford hasn't done. They haven't had good swings at the ball. Penn State using all their weapons. Right now, I feel like Penn State's playing better defense. We saw Stanford playing scrappy defense. Now Fuller comes in the match. She starts making some key plays, and that changes momentum. Defense is an attitude, and if you have it, it totally changes momentum on your side of the net.
Tonight, our football experts break down the Boise State-Michigan State game with complete highlights, interviews, and insights. The final drive tonight at 11:30 Eastern on BTN. You saw in the middle of the huddle there for the Nittany Lions, Steve Aird, the new assistant coach on this staff, after Dennis Hohenscheld left to be the head coach at Virginia. So a new member of the staff. He was with the team in 2007. But Russ Rose always seems to find members to come in, former members of the Penn State community. His other assistant, Kalina Davidson, formerly Kalina Walters, was a Nittany Lion. Then Steve Aird played for the men's team earlier in his tenure with Penn State.
Yeah, these are two very hard-working assistant coaches, as every assistant coach is in volleyball. I see them out pounding the pavement, recruiting weekend after weekend. It is an endless job. Once you get a recruiting class for a certain year, you're working on the next one. And these guys, boy, I'm telling you what, a great work ethic from these assistant coaches on both benches.
Wopat in the middle, it's out of play.
All right, so if you're Stanford, what do you do at this point? You've got to believe that you can come out and still win this set. Pass well, swing big, and just roll with it.
And at the net is Nia Grant to put it down on the overpass.
We talk about the serve pass being the mini game within the game. If you can win the serve pass game, chances are you're going to win the match. Right now, Penn State just nailing the ball from the service line, and really the setter for Stanford just cannot control the ball.
They're going to call it against Stanford and give the points to Penn State. It's a 9-1 run. Penn State within one. They trailed this 19-10, and here the Nittany Lions within striking distance to take the second set. Back to a raucous rec hall in a moment. They are trying to complete this run and go up 2-0 into the intermission. Fuller dives, that's over the net. Back set goes to Scott. And McClendon just able to get the hand on it. Penn State keeps it alive. One back, too strong, tied at 20.
And the place is going crazy. Unbelievable. There you see number 33, Lacey Fuller, saving all kinds of balls in the backcourt. Take a look at the hustle. Great get, a free ball over, and then a hitting error from Stanford.
And finally, no, that one's going to be a whistle against out of play. The Cardinal, and the point goes to Penn State as they take the lead.
Stanford has been stuck on 20, it seems like forever.
Fuller with another great up. McClendon. McClendon pushes it, but it's out of play, and the run ends. It was a 10-1 run to give Penn State a 21-20 lead, now tied again at 21.
Boy, if Lacey Fuller has not made Coach Rose's eyebrows go up a little bit, and I don't know what that kid needs to do. Saving some great balls in that backcourt for Penn State.
Hancock went over on two, but Stanford able to keep it in play. Gilbert will go to Burgess, and Burgess with the point as the Cardinal takes back the lead.
Burgess had some moments of struggling with her passing, but comes up big on that key hit from the outside.
It's ice on the floor.
Now you are seeing two fantastic, gifted athletes on both pins. This is a real treat. It doesn't get much better than this. Those outside hitters are just killing the ball, and you can hear the thump. It's a thunderous hit on both sides of the net.
Now Penn State with Hancock back to serve. She can end it all on her own. Set and out of play. Penn State with 23-22 lead in the second set.
Here's the other thing that is so difficult. When the ball is past that high, it's so hard for the setter to get a good contact on the ball. The ball is usually not passed higher than the antenna, so you really want to stay in system, and sometimes you just get an odd touch on the ball when you're the setter.
13-3 run. With the tip over. Stanford led this set by 9. And that one unable to be saved by the Nittany Lions and tied at 23. And a win by 2, playing to 25 here.
This is where you get to see exactly what kids are made of in these tight situations. And coaches have put them in these situations in practice, but you can never simulate something like this. If you're Stanford, you are on Penn State's home court. The place is going crazy. Can you still beat Penn State when the crowd is going nuts and in your face?
Howard to that back corner. Courtney can't handle it, and it's set point for Stanford. Cardinal going to try to get out of this set with a win.
There's that shot I'm talking about by Brittany Howard. Crafty, top spin, just a step away from the defensive player, and that is skill right there, to see where the defense is and put it in the open court.
Sent out of play and tied at 24. Will go to extra points. The Cardinal could not handle it there.
So when it's a close set like this one is, you want to reset your focus, stay aggressive, stay in system, eliminate the unforced errors. That was a hitting error, a silly hitting error, awkward angle for Stanford's hitter, but you just want to put the ball in play and block and dig for a point. So we'll see what team comes out with a victory here in this very tight second set.
Penn State having not been challenged so far this season. Getting a good look at it here. Howard off the block, but Fuller again there to cover. Set goes to Scott. Just sent up by Bug. And Bug to the back line. Actually, it's going to be sent over by Howard, excuse me. And the point for Stanford.
What a great one-handed set. Let's take a look at it again. Ball is super tight to the net. You see Maddie Bug making a big save right there, giving her hitter the opportunity to swing and score.
Another set point for the Cardinal. To Scott, and again we're tied.
Oftentimes in tight situations, it just comes down to your pin hitters, and we're seeing attack on one side, attack on the other side, and they're scoring. So right now, it's just a race to the end, and you got to win by 2.
12 kills already for Ariel Scott. Dominique Gonzalez to serve. Bocather with the kill for Stanford. Penn State has had the answer the last few times as Stanford has their 3rd set point in the second set.
How nice for Stanford. You know, Morgan Bocather was just inserted as a front row sub. She gets a couple key points for her team. That's a great thing to have when you've got a player on the bench that contribute in tight situations like this.
Sent down by the Stanford block, but still in play thanks to Katie Slay. It's a Joniku in the middle. Cook goes to Howard. Clendon was there in the back row. The set goes to Courtney. Big swing, but it's out of play. And the second set goes to the Cardinal. As they led it by 9, they saw Penn State come all the way back, but Stanford evens up the match at 1 set apiece at Rec Hall. volleyball action on BTN as Stanford and Penn State meeting in the Nike Big Four Volleyball Classic. Set 1 to the Nittany Lions, set 2 to the Cardinal. Ariel Scott with those 12 kills, 4 digs, leading the team. Deja McClendon leading in digs with 7.
And both these girls just juniors. Tell me what, they have another year to go after this one. I mean, this one is just getting started, but they are playing just wonderfully so far in this match.
It's going to seem like ages when these two graduate, as they won a national championship as freshmen, but still around for another year after this season. And just a light tap over for Scott for the kill to start set 3.
Yeah, sometimes that top spin, just to place a shot and score. At this point, they know where the defense is, and if you want to get a kill, you got to put it in the open court.
Ariel Scott, we mentioned, was the Active Ankle Challenge MVP last week for Penn State. She's putting together another phenomenal performance. Back set goes to Wopat, and Wopat finds the back corner.
Wopat approaches aggressively, gets behind the ball, and pushes it deep in the corner. And that's really difficult to get because she's so deceptive. It looks like she's going to hit, and then she pushes at the ball. It's almost like a shot put move. She does it with a lot of force and has the experience to put it right in the corner.
Just 3 kills for Carly Wopat so far in this match. Nia Grant looking for one. Wopat will send it over. Hancock goes to McClendon. Gilbert unable to handle it, and the Cardinal can't send it back over.
The versatility of Deja McClendon hitting on the right side, I think it just adds another wrinkle in this offense. She's got a different type of swing on the right side that she does on the left side. It looks a little different. It's equally as aggressive, but she's got different shots at both pins.
And almost an ace, but the Cardinal able to save it. And now a good opportunity for the Nittany Lions. It'll be Scott with the kill. Ariel Scott continues her stellar night. But Audrey, we talk about Ariel Scott and Deja McClendon. Sophomores last year, now they're juniors, and Penn State had issues with leadership last season. These two players who've been around the program, they would be expected to step into those leadership roles.
Absolutely, and Russ Rose acknowledges that these are very nice kids. They're super sweet, they're very aggressive, but he wants players that are killers. And sometimes you've got to coach that a little bit. You've got to get your players angry, and you want to see them in the fight. And I think he's seeing that type of improvement in attitude in these two players.
Russ does not sugarcoat his words at any point when he talks to his players. There's going to be a violation against Penn State, and the point will go to Stanford. So tied at 3 in the 3rd set. You have to remember last year with so many underclassmen in the lineup for the Nittany Lions, their captains were all players who were on the bench. Their seniors did not see much playing time, so it was the youth movement for the Nittany Lions as Ariel Scott continuing gets one more for Penn State.
What makes Ariel Scott so effective? First of all, the set that's going to her is low. It happens very quickly. She's taking her first step as the setter is touching the ball, and then she hits at such a high point that she never hits in the belly of the block. So if it does get a touch, it sometimes, as we call it, ping-pongs around a little bit, and the backcourt cannot adjust their feet to play the ball. But then she's got that power shot too. If the court is open, she sees the line between the blocker's hands and the pin, and she will nail that ball. So very hard to defend against her.
We talked earlier about her not being as consistent as Russ Rose would like. What does she need to do to be more consistent and have this level throughout the entire season?
Well, I think just experience. I think it comes from playing and being in these tight situations, and then when you're in these tight situations, you succeed. You score for your team, and with that comes confidence that you really can't have in a practice situation. It comes from game experience.
Great dig by Gonzalez, able to set up Megan Courtney. We're talking about leadership and veterans, but a freshman will be highly involved with this Penn State team throughout the year. 3 ball for Stanford. Middle to Ajanaku, and it's down.
When Ajanaku is at the net, you've got to respect her. Even though she gets a few sets here and there, she seems to always score. I would imagine that Stanford wants to pump her the ball a little bit more often. As a right side blocker for Penn State, you've got to start in and get some hands in front of her.
Hancock diving for it, And that will go down as an ace for the Cardinal and Brittany Howard.
See Micah Hancock there. She's got such a calming presence. I mean, she will get pumped up when her hitters score, but her demeanor is very controlled. She's always analyzing and thinking through who are my best hitters in certain rotations and how am I going to get my team to score.
We had a chance to talk to Russ Rose. He had said that she has improved year to year, but she's still a hitter who's playing setter. She'd love to be attacking for this Penn State team, but just not tall enough to go over a block like the one they see here tonight against Stanford. Back row to McClendon. Gilbert will set to Williams, and the block is there for Penn State.
So when a non-setter touches the ball, they want to put the ball high into the pin. At this point, that ball is set too far inside the court, and so the hitter cannot get the maximum jump and swing on the ball. And that ball goes right in the belly of the block.
Service error on Penn State. Megan Courtney making the block with that mistake on the service. Gilbert to serve for Stanford. McClendon into the block. Nittany Lions able to keep it alive. From the Cardinal now. Middle to Wopat, but this stuff for Katie Slay.
Katie Slay, that Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, is showing how good she is. She's a natural blocker. I remember thinking as a freshman she had the gift of blocking. She just kind of reads the play really well. She knows when to release, when to stay put, and then her size certainly does help. She stands at 6'6".
Katie Slay, another one of those players who's been around for so long, is another kill for Burgess. You remember back in 2010, she had the game-winning point, the match-winning point, to give them the national championship in 2010.
And she went crazy. She really didn't play very much that season, and Russ Rose inserted her at a crucial time in the set, and she ended up winning that match for her team, and it was incredible. So exciting for her.
8-7 lead for Stanford in set number 3, and another ace for the Cardinal. Is Patty Bugg able to get an ace and give Stanford the 2-point lead in the third set?
It will be interesting to see if Penn State changes their serve-receive pattern, pulling people away from the serve-receive pattern. They seem to be struggling to keep the ball right at Hancock's setter box.
Gonzalez with the bump set. Burgess. Gonzalez there again. Back set goes to Scott, and Scott finds the floor.
Has been so consistent tonight. She's been money on that right side pin.
16th kill of the match for Ariel Scott. It's where we saw in set 1 and set 2. Penn State jumped out early in set 1, Stanford in set 2. This one has been back and forth in the third set. Long, almost an ace from Micah Hancock. Fans wanted the call. They don't get it.
It'll be interesting to see when she rotates back to the service line if now her confidence has been shattered a little bit. She's made some service errors that we don't typically see from her. So we'll see. We'll have to keep track of how aggressive she goes from the end line next time around.
It'll be Burgess for the Cardinal serve. Hancock to McClendon. Scott off the block, and another kill from Ariel Scott. They're getting to that point where you start thinking about career highs for a player like Ariel Scott. There's still at least one more set to be played.
Absolutely. This match is going to be extended, and that just means all kinds of records could be broken if it ends up going long.
Ariel Scott had a career high 27 kills last October against Illinois, and another point for the Nittany Lions.
Penn State's block that they moved in. They're in good starting position. You see A. Scott, she's the right side blocker, but nowhere near that right pin. She's respecting the quick 31 set by Stanford and is up there to help the block.
Bocather just tries to tip it over. Even McClendon out of the back row. Wopat was there. This one just low. The block didn't even have to get it as McClendon sent it into the net.
Yeah, it's just an awkward angle for a hitter when that ball is coming across your body. She's right-handed. It's coming from a backcourt area. So just the whole play, maybe just a down ball, free ball it over, and try and block and dig for a point.
Update on the blocking numbers so far. Team blocks. Penn State leads 5-3 over Stanford between Carly Wopat and Katie Slay. 2 blocks apiece for each of them. As that one's going to go long by Maddie Martin.
So again, we've seen Maddie Martin come in primarily for serve-receive when Penn State has struggled. But she has more than just a passing job. She's got to take the ball that's set to her, and she's got to score.
Got close to the net, gets it to Grant for the kill.
Yeah, Grant has been somewhat quiet, hasn't had the opportunity to swing at very many balls, but she's deadly and effective on this one. Take a look at her timing.
4 kills on 6 swings. Mia Grant so far. Mia Grant, a player that Russ Rose had said at times has played like an All-American. Unless they would love to see another All-American up front. O'Cather tools the block and the point for Stanford.
I've been so impressed by Morgan Bocather. She gets inserted in the game and does so many positive things. She takes advantage of a block that's not perfectly formed by Penn State. She's hitting so high above the net, ends up tooling the block and getting a point.
O'Cather, a sophomore, so she's in there with 3 freshmen as well. Martin with the tip, dive to save it. Scott over the block. Now it'll be Williams. Williams has been quiet. She got things started in the early going. Slay sent that into the block. Hancock with the back set. Scott just had to tip it over. Rally going here. Slay trying to end it. Williams. Scott just tries to float it back. Burgess keeps it alive. Longest rally of the match so far. Martin. Burgess can't handle it. Gilbert diving. Joust to the net. And it's going to be won by Penn State as that was out of play off the Cardinals.
Well, what a great rally we saw right there. The ball being saved on both sides of the net. Scrappy play. Keeping your head in the game. Just a little touch shot that goes off the blocker's hands. Ends up going to Penn State's side.
4 of the 5 freshmen play for the Cardinals so far tonight. So Williams sent that one long. In the air, it's Penn State. Tie now in the 3rd set at 13. So for some of these younger players, Audrey, the adjustment between the emotional ups and downs of that 2nd set and really a different style of play here in the 3rd set as Maddie Martin gets the tip over and the point to the Nittany Lions. How do they adjust kind of not having this feel before in the college level of really varying styles of play throughout the match? There's so many different aspects of what these freshmen have to deal with. What do you think they have to do to deal with some of the different aspects they'll see? Because they'll see a different style of speed throughout the night.
Yeah, they just have to live through some of the growing pains. And I think right now both coaches are being patient with their freshman players. I think game experience is key. We haven't seen perfect play, and I don't think either coach expects perfect play from freshmen, but they expect perfect effort. And I think both coaches would be very pleased with how their freshmen are contributing. Yes, that was a loaded question.
Martin able to finish it off the tape as Penn State takes a 15-14 lead in set number 3. Nittany Lions on top, trying to take control here in the 3rd set.
I think what speaks volumes is when you talk to their players that have graduated, they all speak so highly of both Dunning and Rose. People graduate from those programs and they actually miss being around those head coaches. That's pretty special.
We talked about it before, the Olympians that these teams have produced, both of these coaches have produced. For the Cardinal, Feluca Akinradawo, as well as Logan Tom, and then for the Nittany Lions, Megan Hodge and Krista Hamato. in the Olympics on that national team. Both teams had alternates, and then Carrie Walsh on the beach volleyball team for the Cardinal as well. And another big stop for Penn State.
Let's take a look at a big Penn State block here. Hancock, considering she's somewhat undersized at about 5'10", 5'11", she sure does get up. And Rose has always said he would take a small block over a big bad block any day. So she goes straight up and over.
Rachel Williams with the kill for Stanford to tie it at 16. Williams now with 7 kills in the match. Williams has not been on her game so far. When we talked to John Dunning, he had said that the shoulder was not bothering her. It was up to 100%. But her numbers in the early going have not been as impressive as you would think. She had for a negative number against Hawaii, hitting under 100 so far tonight.
Eddie Bug dug that with the side of her ear.
McClendon over the block and down. Kyle Gilbert couldn't handle it, and Penn State takes back the lead.
Bug is going to have to shake that one off. She got it right upside the head, but she managed to keep the ball in play. It was pretty impressive.
Hancock with a couple of aces already. Free ball opportunity. Middle to Grant, and the point for Penn State.
When you're given a free ball, you definitely want to score. Those are balls that aren't attacked. They're the easiest balls to play. A passer just has the opportunity to put a nice, easy ball up to the setter. You should be in system, which means all setters are going hard to the ball to get the set. And it could be a very deceptive play should you have some sort of play set hitter able to hit the ball.
18-16 lead in the third set for Penn State. Tonight, our football experts break down the Boise State-Michigan State game with complete highlights, interviews, and insights. The final drive tonight at 11:30 Eastern on BTN. Penn State with the 2-point lead. Took set number 1, came back in the second set, but Stanford able to get the win 27-25. And Audrey, we know it's so early on the year. Give us your impressions of this Penn State team and what you've seen from them in this match so far.
Well, I've been really impressed with Ariel Scott. That's kind of the obvious thing. But as a team, I like how they just fought back in that second set. I think that says a lot about what they've got, the grit to not give up when they were down by so many points. That was impressive. I will also say that this Megan Courtney has been a real highlight too. So, once they have a couple more weeks of practice under their belt, I think this is going to be a darn good-looking Penn State team, and they're already looking pretty good here tonight.
Megan Courtney with 4 kills and 6 digs. So she is only 4 kills, but very active in the kills. So match tomorrow against Texas. Texas, actually the number 2 team in the nation, tomorrow night at Rec Hall. And then Penn State will travel to Chicago to play DePaul, Oregon State, and UIC. So another weekend on the road, and then eventually, not there yet, but down the schedule, Nebraska and Penn State, September 19th to start off the Big Ten season. That'll be here at Rec Hall.
Yeah, people have got that one marked on the calendar. It is going to be an epic matchup with Nebraska and Penn State. So exciting to watch Big Ten volleyball.
Burgess. Now Hancock will find McClendon, but it's out of play. No touch. Point to Stanford.
McClendon talking to her teammates, telling the setter, hey, that was a great set, my fault. It's always nice to hear that bit of interaction between players. McClendon will take responsibility for that hitting error.
Goes back to communication, something that Russ Rose wanted to see more of that they didn't get last year. Bug runs it down. Haley Howard going cross court. Back set goes to Scott. McClendon, another chance. Bocather off the block, and the point to Stanford, tied at 18. We've seen much more Morgan Bocather than Haley Spellman in this match on the right side for Stanford. They decided to go with the sophomore out of Newport Beach, California at 6'1". She only played 4 sets coming into this match.
Yeah, and we really haven't spoken very much about Maddie Bug, the setter in the match. She's doing a really good job, just a freshman, and for her to be so consistent with the placement of her sets is really incredible.
Martin will send it to McClendon. Bug in the middle, finds Wopat, but no attack for her, and now it's McClendon once more. Block is ready for it by Stanford. McClendon mixes it up, and it's effective. Point for Penn State.
You know, those shots are so hard because as a blocker, you know that it's being tipped. If your defense is playing perimeter, you have the opportunity to land and try and play the ball, but you got to make a good play on it, obviously. You've got to get your platform ready to play the ball, and you want to play it high in the air because it is a broken play.
Russ Rose still with some words of wisdom for Deja McClendon. It'll be Carpenter to serve. And another free ball. Martin off the tape. Howard. Hancock just sends it over. Middle to Wopat. Fuller gets a hand on it, but Stanford will get the point.
Stanford is in system. The offense is being run very smoothly. Again, have two setters that they're playing tonight, Carissa Cook and Maddie Bug. Both doing a really nice job of distributing the ball, setting a nice quick tempo when they are in system.
The service error and a mistake by the Cardinal gives the point to Penn State as they're 5 points away from taking the third set. Fourth service error of the match for Stanford to go along with 17 attack errors. It'll be Gonzalez to serve. Already had an ace earlier in the match. Goes to the near side to Howard. Hancock into Scott. Scott off the block and the point for Penn State.
Penn State's defense doing a nice job of controlling the dig. Hancock with that jump set. And look where Hancock is distributing the ball from. She's past half court at about the 10-foot line. So to put the ball right on the money is truly exceptional, and such a great gift she has of just putting that ball exactly where her hitters need it.
Communication we've seen from Micah Hancock in this match at least seems a little bit better than what we saw a year ago in her first year setting. These two programs, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, two of the most decorated programs, if not the most decorated in all of the nation. 6 national championships, that's the most of any program for Stanford, and Penn State with 5 national championships right behind them. They have met 4 times for the national championship, as you said, Audrey. Penn State winning 3 of those, and Stanford winning in 1997. You know, anytime that you see them this early in the year, they've got the talent, they've got the coaching, that they will be in the mix year in, year out for the national title.
Absolutely, and Coach Dunning and Rose really do like each other. They have the utmost respect for one another. They're battling it out right now, and they don't love each other at this moment. They both want to get the win, but nonetheless, a lot of these coaches around the country really do like each other. You see them recruiting, and they're often, chit-chatting and yucking it up and having a good time. So as much as it is intense in this match, these are two good friends that really respect one another.
When we spoke to Russ Rose, he had mentioned that they had a great scheduling relationship between the two teams. That's how the Nike Big Four came about, is because the two of them had talked, realized they wanted to get better opponents at the beginning of the season, and it was that kind of working relationship that brought this all together. This is the 3rd year. There'll be one more year when they play in Texas next season. Started out in Gainesville in 2010, in Palo Alto last year, and now Penn State getting their chance.
And it speaks, again, volumes to how great of a reputation these programs have to be at the top of your conference 4 years in a row where you want to play each other. It really says that, these programs are here to stay, and they're going to be good year in and year out.
Bug to Ajanaku. A little bit of a miscommunication there. Back to Scott, off the block. Howard with the swing. Scott mixes it up. Gilbert with the save. It'll be Hancock to Slay in the middle. Fans wanted a double touch call. Back set goes to Scott. The block puts it down for Stanford.
And you can see that Ariel Scott did not get a full approach. As the ball was in the air as an outside hitter, you want to get deep outside the court so that you get your full 3-step approach. She had a 2-step hop there and really didn't get enough elevation in order to hit that high shot that we're used to seeing from her.
Solo stuff for Brittany Howard. One of those rallies that goes long enough that it can change the momentum of a set. Penn State seemed to be on their way here in the 3rd set, but Stanford gets that point, draws back within 1. Sent it to Maddie Martin, and an error by Martin ties this up in set 3.
You know, this has been the rotation that Penn State has struggled with. Maddie Martin on the left side, you got Katie Slate in the middle, and the go-to A. Scott on the right side. So they need to get out of this rotation.
We'll come back to Rec Hall for the conclusion of set 3. Which one of these two teams will take it and the momentum in the match? Hawaii last weekend, Penn State was in Louisville. These early non-conference tests for these teams gets them ready for the conference season and what they can expect through the rest of the year. And both teams getting a very good challenge so far in this match. Scott out of the timeout, gets another kill.
Well, we mentioned how they needed to get out of that rotation. It's not the strongest rotation that they have, and they did with A. Scott's hammer on that right side.
Scott will get a chance to serve for the Nittany Lions. Hancock have to run it down often. Martin with another swing. Bump set from Cook. It'll be Slay with the back set to Martin, and Martin gets the kill. Not often you'll see the middle and Katie Slay set an attacker.
Well, Martin coming through big time. That's exactly what she wanted to show her coach, that she can terminate at a crucial part of the set. There you see the block was not completely together. You want to be hip to hip. There's just a little seam that Maddie Martin exploited in Stanford's block.
Maddie Martin needed that. She had 3 errors in the last 3 attacks. Just out of the back row, able to answer for Stanford.
Well, from Penn State, a roll shot, not the biggest swing on that transition dig. And you can see how Stanford is skilled enough where they will take that ball, pop it up, and they'll transition in system. They look very, very good.
Hancock goes with the back set to Katie Slay. It's off the block, and Penn State has set point in the 3rd set. Martin trying to close it out. Back set to Williams. No one there for the Nittany Lions, and Williams able to take advantage of it.
Williams with that strong arm again. Take a look at this set. Right on the money. Moving to the left side, setting to the right side. Look at that emotion from Rachel Williams.
We went to extra points in set number 2. Will we again here? Slay off the back set. Sent over. Good opportunity for Stanford. They go back to Williams, down the line. It's out of play, and Penn State takes the 2-1 lead.
A hitting error by Williams, and lucky for Penn State, the block was not there and ready for that attack. So another hitting error from Stanford gives the game to Penn State.
Oh, Penn State takes the 25-23, set 3. Back for more in a moment. State up 2-1 after the first 3 sets as they were able to get the win 25-23 in the 3rd set over Stanford. 2 top 10 teams meeting in the Nike Big 4 Volleyball Classic. Set 2, Stanford got out to a large lead, but Penn State fought their way back. Penn State was dominant in set number 1. And now this Nittany Lion team is going to try to close out and get a win over the 9th-ranked team in the nation and get their first win in quite some time against Stanford. The last 4 regular season matches, they've all gone to the Cardinal.
Yeah, and I saw Coach Dunning talk to Rachel Williams specifically. He was just talking to her on the bench, so I know he wants to see a little bit more productivity from her offensively. Although she has been a standout, look to her to change this set for her team, this match for her team. If she is able to get the ball a few more times and swing big, she can really pump up her team by those thunderous hits that come her way.
Penn State in their home opener, trying to win this year after falling to Oregon last year. That ended the 94-match home winning streak. That was a bit of a surprise, but then Penn State came back with a 5-set win over USC in the opening weekend of the AVCA Showcase. That was Micah Hancock's first start as the setter, and she has been the starter ever since. As she heads back to serve, trying to give Penn State a good start to the fourth set. It's Burgess. Overpass. Gives Stanford another chance at Janaku with the tip over. Scott sends it off the block. Janaku once more, but again, great coverage by the Nittany Lions. It's Burgess. Out of system for Penn State, but Scott still effective off the block.
Well, what you saw from Penn State was great base defense by the left back and the right back. Take a look at all the balls that they saved here. Good get, great instincts. Keep that ball alive. As a right back player and left back player, you got to be down low and ready, and that's exactly what Penn State's wing diggers are doing there.
Ariel Scott with her 20th kill now of the match, hitting .236. She also has 8 digs. We've seen this often. On the bigger stages, that's when Ariel Scott really steps up. In the match against Nebraska to start last year's conference play, she had 23 kills. We mentioned in a match against #1 Illinois in this building on October 8th, she had 27 kills. She knows how to get it done against the best competition.
Absolutely, and even though sometimes it is rather predictable, you know the ball's going to go to her offensively, she still scores. So until teams find a way to block her and dig around the block, she will continue to get a huge amount of attempts at swinging at the ball.
Micah Hancock had those early 2 service aces in set #1, 4 service errors since. She's obviously gotten a few in as well, but not as effective as she was at the beginning of this match. In the middle was Deja McClendon. That'll be a free ball. Penn State has to dive just to get to it. Doesn't matter to Ariel Scott as she gets another kill.
I feel like a broken record, but high off the blocker's hands, it is a real tough shot to master. She makes it look really easy, but it's because of her jumping ability, her size. I've seen big kids just let the ball drop and they put the ball right in the teeth of the block. She has got such a great reach on the ball, and again, her feet adjust to every set so that the ball is over her right shoulder.
This is what John Dunning said when he spoke to us as they're able to get a kill from Morgan Bocather. He had said that the team really struggled with being able to get something off the block. With a touch would come the Hawaii team last week. We tooled the block off it, and we're seeing Penn State being able to do the same thing.
Yeah, right now I feel like Stanford's blocks aren't horrible. It's just that the middle back player is playing kind of in the court and not really deep enough, so the ball goes off the blocker's hands and kind of goes over the middle back player's head. And I know that you want to play in as a middle back player, but perhaps with A. Scott, you adjust that a little bit and play a little bit deeper. Perhaps that would work better for Stanford.
You know this will be one of the best blocking teams in the nation. They led the nation last year. It's just taking time to get going. Overpass and a kill for Nia Grant. We've seen that a few times now where Nia Grant has been able to take advantage of an overpass. One-handed set once again. Dominique Gonzalez gets it over to Scott. Bug in the middle of Wopak. And then it's Brittany Howard who's able to get the kill for Stanford. Stanford has to be encouraged, not only a play of Brittany Howard, but also Morgan Bocather, now with 7 kills, hitting .462. She had not played too much so far in this match.
That's right, and she is just a sophomore. So when you take a look at the Stanford lineup, yes, they have a couple upperclassmen that are really good, but what a promising underclass they have there with their freshman and sophomore group.
Back set to Scott, powerful, and another kill. Very little that Stanford is doing to slow her down at this point.
Yeah, Carissa Cook got caught watching the ball. There's a big seam, and she will score every time if she's one-on-one.
Cook goes to Howard. Gonzalez with the dig. Hancock over on 2. Martin into the block of Stanford, and that time they're able to put it down.
Well, nothing wrong with Stanford's block that time. Predictable set by Penn State, goes all the way to the pin. Picture perfect block, hip to hip, reaching straight up and over.
3rd block of the match for Carly Wopat. 7 blocks the last time these two teams met, and that was last year in Palo Alto. From the back row, another stuff for Stanford.
Micah Hancock was trying to set somebody else, even though she was running to the left front area of the court. She said a back row attack, but Stanford read it. They knew where the best player was, and they did not bite on that. They didn't release early. They respected Ace Scott from the backcourt. Blocked the ball straight down.
Maddie Martin goes into the block, but it's out of play, so Penn State gets that point. We've seen more Maddie Martin here in the late parts of the 3rd set and the 4th set. Megan Courtney not in there. The numbers we mentioned, only 4 kills and was hitting .167, but she brought that emotion that we had talked about.
Yeah, it's always exciting when a freshman can come alive, but you have to have that playing stamina. You've got to play back-to-back plays exceptionally well in order to stay on the court.
Exceptional pancake from Dominique Gonzalez, but Wopat puts it away, and Stanford back up to a 2-point lead.
Let's take a look at this dig. Wow, nice get. I like how she kept moving her feet until she played the ball. But Wopat terminating the ball for Stanford.
Service error gives the point to Penn State. Dominique Gonzalez now has 17 digs for the Nittany Lions. Micah Hancock also with 17 digs. Penn State trails it by 1 in the 4th set. Nittany Lions took set number 1, 25-13. Stanford took set 2, 27-25. And then Penn State in set 3 won 25-23. Different styles of play in terms of pace between these two teams throughout the match.
How neat is it that this sophomore, Dominique Gonzalez, is the team captain, one of the team captains, just a sophomore, but has incredible leadership abilities. Russ Rose trusts her to be the captain of this team.
Off the antenna and a point to Penn State. I mentioned the captains, Katie Slay, Gonzalez, as well as Kristen Carpenter. Carpenter was the setter in 2010. She was a captain last year as well, but we talked about she did not play as often, was on the bench. They did not have the leadership on the floor that they needed.
Yeah, and I really do believe that Carpenter's got the spunk that sometimes this Penn State team needs. She's got an incredibly unselfish attitude, pretty darn good defensive player, but I really did like her as the setter too. I thought she was incredibly gifted and had the talent to put the ball wherever Coach Rose asked her to put it. When you've got Micah Hancock as the other player that's competing for that role, I think Hancock wins it over a little bit. She's got a little bit more size on the block, and her placement is equally as good.
Scott. Good job to keep it in play by Burgess in the back row, and it's Howard unable to put it away as Martin chases it down, but a good chance here for Stanford. Bug with the back set to Bocather. Another dig by Hancock. Scott just tries to send that cross court. Another chance for Ariel Scott. Bug is there. Both Cather off the block and the point for the Cardinal.
Stanford's defense keeping the ball alive, allowing the opportunity to transition and score. Long rally that time, lots of swings by A. Scott, but it seems like the Stanford team has figured out her angles, especially when the Penn State team is not in system. Impressed with how well Stanford's backcourt is moving when the ball is being set and then stopping at the point of attack.
Clips the net. Hancock will feed it to Scott. Janaku just sends it over. And Scott off the block. She's done that so often tonight.
I did see Stanford's middle back play a little bit deeper, able to at least make a better attempt on those balls. It's almost like you want to start running as soon as she hits the ball because it is kind of predictable. It's going to go off the blocker's hands, and if you maybe guess right, you might be able to dig it up in the backcourt.
Scott, third team All-America last year. 4 kills away from tying a career high as Carpenter comes back into the match for Penn State. Seen her get a little bit of time so far in this one. Got 3 digs, but an error. Can't miss those opportunities when you get your opportunity to come in the match.
Absolutely, and you're kind of cold because you've sat on the bench for a while, and you mentally have to stay sharp and in the match. But how do you do that? I often see players talking themselves into the match on the bench. If you keep talking, keep kind of moving around, the tendency is that you'll be mentally in the game, but it is tough to step in off the bench and score points on the serve.
Maddie Martin has had a bit of a reversal after she struggled with early in her playing time. She's had a number of times where she's gone off the block on that near side.
I think this Penn State team will really rely on that other left side attack to improve this season. If they can get either Maddie Martin or Megan Courtney playing a little bit higher of a level, I think this team will be incredible. I think that's the one weakness that I'm seeing right now is that inconsistent play from that second left side position.
Something they expected coming into the season, and they're going to try to figure that out as they go. But as Russ Rhodes says, they did not have the competition in their first weekend to really have an idea of who was going to take that job. This, the better example of playing the tougher team on the other side of the net. The give and go, and it's Katie Slay for the kill.
Well, Katie Slay is not often an offensive weapon, but when she is in the right spot, she kind of takes defenses off their game a little bit. Usually the set goes to the pins, and Katie Slay there showing that she too can be effective with that 31.
5 kills for Katie Slay and 4 blocks. Penn State trails it by 2. That one's long, the service error on Marika Rossi-Barskis as she comes in as a serving specialist but can't keep it in play.
Well, I would imagine Russ Rose is going to be livid. He inserts these players to come in and make a positive impact. And then it's like a big downer. They come in and they make an error. That is not what he wants.
10 service errors now on the Nittany Lions to go along with 19 attack errors. Stanford also with 19 attack errors and 5 service errors. Hancock goes to Martin. Not a good pass, and Penn State forces just send it over. Cook. Scott goes to Martin, and the block was ready for it. That was telegraphed, and Stanford knew exactly where Scott was going.
Well, I think you called that one perfectly. It was telegraphed. They were out of system. Stanford's block moves quickly. You see they're just waiting on it. You just have to do something better with the ball when you got Carly Wolpott right in front of you.
5 blocks now for Carly Wolpat. The block right now tied 6-6 in team blocks between these two teams. Last year it was Stanford winning the blocking battle 15-5. Scott out of the back row. Bump set. Cook to Williams. Penn State's block is ready for it. Long one sent over by Howard. Burgess ends it down the line.
What a sweet looking shot on the left side. She's facing cross court, turns as the ball is in the air, rips one down the line.
11 kills for Jordan Burgess. Stanford up 15-10 in set 4. It's been a difficult past few months for Stanford and the Wopat family as Carly Wopat, her twin sister Sam Wopat, passed away tragically in March, and the Stanford team honoring her this year by wearing her initials on their uniforms throughout the year. And the team and Coach Dunning have said that they are doing their best to honor her by keeping her in their hearts and minds throughout this year and remembering what she meant to them as they go through this season, as they play for her in the memory of Sam Wopat.
Coach Dunning talks about how he has evolved as a coach, and more so than ever this year he wants his team to enjoy every moment. And that was really interesting to hear that comment from him. He's going to push them and he's going to challenge them physically and mentally, but he knows in his heart he wants these kids to enjoy the process and enjoy the evolution of this team and the great things that they can accomplish as a group.
Service ace out of the timeout gives Stanford a 16-10 lead. And at that point, kind of similar to what we saw in set number 2, where Stanford had a large margin of 9 points, and then Penn State came back to take the lead, eventually falling, though, as Stanford took that second set. Hancock goes with the back set to Katie Slay, rolls off the net. Now Megan Courtney back in will set it over to Slay. Block was ready for it. Scott getting the swing, and Stanford's block well prepared there. They take the 17-10 lead.
Well, if Stanford's block ever looked shaky, they sure did shake the bad blocks off of their game, because right now they are doing nothing but stopping the ball at the net. The back row's having a pretty easy time. Everything stopped right at the net.
Penn State down by 7. And tonight, our football experts, they break down Boise State, Michigan State. That game being played this evening. The final drive, it takes place tonight at 11:30 Eastern on BTN. Plenty left to be decided in this match as Stanford is on the verge of forcing a decisive 5th set if they can close this one out. You have to think back, Audrey, to last week in that match between UCLA and Nebraska. It looked as if UCLA at one point had one of the sets when they were up 19-13, but then Nebraska fought their way back, won it, and took control in that second set. Looked like they'd go on to possibly a sweep. Then UCLA, they took over and forced a 5th set. We saw something similar in that second set, except Penn State could not close it out and go into the locker room with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, it just goes to show that you have to be mentally sharp from start to finish. If you mentally just zone out, teams are going to inch their way back into it. It's a hard thing to do. It's that stamina. Can you play consistently well? And then at the end, it often comes down to the pin hitters. In that UCLA-Nebraska match, we saw the outside hitter for UCLA, Tabby Love, not able to get those key swings. She had a great match, but the last couple points, the ball went to her. She was unable to score for her team. So as an outside hitter, you get a lot of kills, but the ones that matter come at the end of the set.
It always seems to be a different story in that 5th set. No matter who comes in with maybe a 4-set victory or the momentum, everything is under the microscope and magnified that they have to pay attention to every single point. So either team has a great opportunity. Back set to Slay, and Slay with a kill out of the timeout as she pumps up her team.
Well, that's a much better looking set and attack by Katie Slay. With the slide, you want to let the ball go out of the setter's hands and actually catch up after the ball, so you can see how the setter releases the ball and she's sprinting in her approach to get the ball on her swing.
Megan Courtney back in serving for Penn State. Hook goes to Burgess, mistiming the jump and the block for the Nittany Lions.
All right, we're seeing that similar little push in this set that we've seen before, and Katie Slay is at the net, dominating and getting key points for her team. Little
Katie
hang
Slay.
time. Yeah, hang time never hurts.
Her 7th kill of the match. Cook goes back to Burgess. Great up in the back row by Courtney. Middle to Wopat, tries to push it towards that corner. Slay with another tip over the pancake. No, they're going to call that one down to the point to Penn State. 3 consecutive points out of the timeout.
Well, Slay saw that the left front blocker moved in to help the middle blocker on that play, and that opens up a huge area of the court. There you can see that left front area is volatile, open. She's got a perfectly placed shot there in that left front area of Stanford's court.
So Megan Courtney yelled, "Let's go" to her team. So down by 4 in the fourth set. Cook slips on the set, but still the kill for Rachel Williams.
Williams, boy oh boy, I'm telling you what, that kid can swing hard on the ball. I'm impressed by the setter as well. She's moving clear to the left front area of the court and makes it look so easy. The ball gets put right in that sweet spot, and then the All-American delivers for her team.
Set goes to Ariel Scott, but it's out of play. And Ariel Scott, we've talked about her numbers tonight with the 23 kills. She also now has 10 errors, so her average continues to drop. A lot of kills for her, but she's making a number of mistakes as well.
I think when she hits from the back row, that could be a part of her game that she'll want to improve upon a little bit. Getting kills from the backcourt equally as well and as strong as she does from the right side.
It's Jordan Burgess giving point number 20 to the Cardinal. They're 5 away from taking this fourth set and forcing another fifth set match on BTN.
Can you believe this kid is a freshman? Unbelievable.
12 kills for Jordan Burgess. She has 15 digs, her third double-double of the season. Back for the conclusion of the fourth set in a moment from Rec Hall. Now to Penn State side, we talked about Ariel Scott with 23, McClendon with 12. McClendon also has 10 digs for her second straight double-double. A lot of numbers that stand out to you and impressive performances in this match.
Right, but we are also seeing a lot of hitting errors by some key players. And that will improve over time, or at least the coaches hope it will improve, because those unforced errors or the balls that get hit low into the blocker's hands, you really don't want to have too many of those. 10
errors for Ariel Scott, 5 errors for Carly Wopat. McClendon with a decisive kill, though, to get Penn State within 6.
Well, right now, if Penn State can serve tough, they might be able to get back into this set. But these next few points for Penn State are crucial. McClendon was in the front row, as you just saw, and that speaks in Penn State's favor.
Penn State was down by 9 in the second set and was able to come back and take the lead 21-20 as they try to come back here again in set number 4, but Stanford is 4 points away now.
Stanford looks really loose. You're seeing smiles, and they're kind of yucking it up, and they're playing very confidently right now.
McClendon looking for another. She gets it.
How many times have we seen Deja McClendon play the first ball on the pass and then shuffle her feet on the outside quick enough to get that explosive approach that allows her to be so successful? It's such a hard thing to do. You know that teams are going to pick on you when you are as talented swinging on the outside. She makes it look very simple to play the ball, shuffle outside, and get a kill.
Going back to McClendon. Block was ready for it for Stanford. Hancock with the back set over to Scott this time. The bug in the middle to a Jonaku. Fuller will set it. Bug goes to Bocather down the line. Great dig by Lacey Fuller. McClendon with a chance. Another wrong rally here. And it's put down by Nia Grant.
You saw Jordan Burgess slap her hands in disgust. She was able to play a ball that wasn't so hard. However, she didn't control the play. Take a look at that fantastic dig by Penn State. Transition, big swing. And then that overpass that allows number 7 for Penn State, Nia Grant, to dominate up that ball right in Stanford's court.
Great digs now for Lacey Fuller and the block for Penn State, able to send that one back. So here come the Nittany Lions down by 4.
Coach Dunning says, do I still have 2? Meaning, do I still have 2 of my timeouts? He does, and calls one. What a smart thing to do at this point. He remembers what Penn State did in the other set.
Penn State, you know they can go on a run if they have Micah Hancock back there serving. We mentioned it before. We see this in the second set. They took that lead. They were unable to hang on to it, and Stanford took it in extra points. This time here, trying in the fourth set to avoid going to set number 5, because you know when you play a match to 15, one team gets on a run and it can be the end of the match.
Right, and sometimes it just depends on what rotation you're in too. And if you're unlucky and you're in one of your weaker rotations, well, obviously you're going to probably struggle. Right now for Penn State, McClendon is in the front row, the 2-time All-American, so that really speaks in their favor. And so, you know, as a coach, sometimes if you're in that rotation that's not so strong, you call a timeout, let those players kind of take a breath and get in the flow of it again and see how they do out of the timeout.
Numbers for the Nittany Lions and their 2 stars, Ariel Scott and Deja McClendon. We mentioned McClendon with another double-double, 14 kills, 10 digs. Scott leading all players with 23 kills, but also those 10 airs. She's hitting just 188 in the match. Do have to mention Micah Hancock having a great night defensively as well. A new career high for her with 21 digs. Dominique Gonzalez with 19 digs. That's a career high for the sophomore. And Penn State hoping that Hancock could maybe set some sort of career number for aces in a row at this moment.
And this is one of Penn State's strongest lineups. This is how they start each and every set.
Stanford able to stay in system. It's Burgess now on the right side. Hancock goes to McClendon. Gilbert with the bump set into the Penn State block. Ajanaku finds the back corner. Important side out, takes away the service from Hancock.
What a key play by Inky Ajanaku. Finding that right back area of the court open. Heads up play, strong to that open area, and then she celebrates nicely with her team.
7 kills for Inky Ajanaku. Middle to Nia Grant.
She's having fun out there. She swings hard and then swings even harder when she's celebrating. But that's what her team needs right now. Positive energy. Take a look. Yes, yes, yes. My name is Nia Grant.
8 kills now for Nia Grant on 11 swings. 3 blocks thrown in there as well. And it will be Carpenter to serve. She had an error her last time back there. Oh, it goes to Ajanaku, gets a forceful swing on that one. Fuller with the bump set to Scott off the block, and the ball heads right to John Dunning.
So hard to dig those balls up in the backcourt. The only thing you can do is maybe start running, try and take a step early. But again, you don't know what direction that ball is going to go off the block, and that's certainly, you know, nothing that the coaches coach. They try and coach setting up a better block than they do taking off defensively. Wow, what a gap.
Penn State trying to get to it, but they won't, and the point goes to Stanford. They're 2 away from taking the 4th set.
Fantastic get by Jordan Burgess in the backcourt, that one-handed stab. That is just gifted athleticism and grit to get after that ball.
4 Nittany Lions diving to try to save that one. No one could get a hand underneath it, and it's back to a 4-point lead. Kyle Gilbert will be back to serve for the Cardinal.
Courtney for Penn State enters the lineup.
Middle again to Nia Grant. Stanford able to get a play on it. 3-ball chance. Once again they go to Grant, and she's got another kill.
Holy moly. I don't think Stanford suspects that Nia Grant is going to get the number of sets that she has gotten in this set. She seems to be going up strong every time. And there she is with that huge celebration after she gets the point.
I think Nia Grant may like this tournament. She had a career high 11 kills last year in this tournament. Wopat on the slide. And the ball falls to the floor. Miscommunication, and Penn State within 2.
They're having a good time. Fans really enjoy good volleyball, and they're seeing a great match tonight.
It's Howard with a massive swing and the point, and it's set point for Stanford.
That was a thumper. And that's what you fun. When the crowd gets into it, you've got to counter-attack with a big swing. Brittany Howard letting everybody know that she's here to play.
7 kills now for Howard. Hancock to Slay in the middle, and Slay's effective there.
Well, for Stanford at this point, you have got to pass the ball well and get a big swing on the ball. There you see Katie Slay's key swing. Penn State running a lot more middle.
Hancock will go to Megan. Courtney off the block and down for Courtney.
And it's interesting that Courtney is able to deliver a kill when things are tight and tense in the match. Take a look at the confidence she has. She goes up so well, swings so hard. Boy, you can't coach that kind of aggressiveness in a kid.
Penn State down by 1 in the 4th set. We'll come back for the final few points. Back in set number 2. They looked again to be out of the 4th set, and then they've mounted this comeback. Can they close it out like they didn't in set 2?
Well, they need a tough serve by Ariel Scott here. She's on the service line right now. You can't put in a lollipop serve. You've got to put some heat on the ball so that Stanford doesn't run a very intricate offense at this point.
Micah Hancock not on the floor as Ariel Scott will serve and Erica Denny into the match for Penn State. She's seeing her first action of the season. That's sent over on 2. It'll be Gonzalez who sends to Courtney. Ariel and Luck is there, and it's Howard puts it away. We're headed to set number 5 as the Cardinal have forced us into the decisive set. Set 5 coming up from Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. Penn State and Stanford, 2 top 10 teams for the second straight week, Audrey. It's Pac-12 and Big Ten facing off in a 5-setter. UCLA lost to Nebraska, and now Penn State is trying to put away this Stanford team.
Well, this is what you can expect when these two conferences go head-to-head. Great volleyball, back and forth type of volleyball, and fantastic strategic coaching. Even though they're more concerned about playing and how things look on their side of the net, you're still seeing some really good matchups, strategic ways to sub kids in or out to really try and stop the attack on the other side of the net.
They've met 4 times for national titles. They've played so many memorable matches over the years. And these 2 teams have produced some of the best talent in all of the nation, including Olympians. As for Stanford, Logan Tom and Faluka Akinradawo were on the national team. Krista Harmato earned her spot. Megan Hodge in that match against China. She was the leader in terms of kills. All 4 of them contributed, then also some alternates for them as well. Carrie Walsh, we talked about, beach volleyball side winning 3 straight gold medals. So many players move on from these programs and do things at the international level that have never been done before.
Yeah, I look at that list and all my favorite players are on. It's so nice to see such talented female athletes and how well they represent this country. I loved the shot of Coach Dunning talking to Maddie Bug. You know, a setter is just an extension of the coach out on the court. He's giving his freshman setter some key notes in order to win this 5th set. She's going to have to put the ball on the money and set the right players at the right time. It's such a skill, knowing when to set your players, always knowing what the block looks like on the other side of the net, who's been successful and when. Setters have to process that and make sure that they distribute the ball to the right player at the right time.
Again, the final drive coming up at 11:30 Eastern, breaking down Michigan State and Boise State. Penn State has the right player back there to serve to start out this 5th set. If Micah gets on a run, that could spell the end of this match.
But I've been impressed by Stanford. I hope I don't jinx them. They have been able to control the serve. She really hasn't been as effective as we've seen her in the past year.
Great job by Dominique Gonzalez with the up. Bug with a tough pass. And that'll be out of play, so the first point to Stanford, and they take away the service from Hancock.
Solid back row attack. Again, you just want to hit the ball when you're not in perfect position, just a couple steps away from the defensive player, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a booming shot. Has to be a well-placed shot.
First 5-set match of the season for both of these teams, and a service error by Jordan Burgess.
15 points comes at you pretty quickly, and every unforced error just kind of eats away at you after a match should you lose. So that service error, although it's early in the 5th set, you want to eliminate those serves that go in the bottom of the net. Maybe a serve that goes long, or you're trying to serve it strategically, you'll accept that as a coach, but one that goes in the bottom of the net, just unacceptable.
Cross court for Bo Cather, as she's now into double figures, and a player that maybe you did not expect to have this kind of performance, really carrying Stanford in points of this match.
Yep, a kid that doesn't start might have earned herself a starting spot. She has been the solid factor in the offense for Stanford.
Hancock with the back set to Scott. Scott just sends it over off the block. Gilbert tries to put that one to the net, just going to be forced back over. Now it's Scott. Big swing and great dig by Burgess. Once more they go to Scott, and she finally finishes.
The thing about Scott that makes her difficult is that she's got different angles that she hits. And I was watching the defense of Jordan Burgess, and she was trying to line up with the approach of Ariel Scott, but just couldn't get to the spot quick enough. You really have to be quick at reading and then getting down low and ready for the dig.
Let's stay with another good dig in the back row, but can't get to it. Carpenter had her hands on it. The point goes to Stanford.
And it's not good enough for Russ Rose if you just get your hand on it. He expects his DSs to not only play the ball, but to allow the setter to set the ball. And right now, Carpenter gets her hands on the ball, but it's not good enough. She will come out of the lineup, and there will be a back row player inserted for her.
3-2 lead in set number 5. It's Luck who's serving. Hancock goes to Slay, and Slay with a big kill for Penn State.
Slay getting active here in the last couple sets. Deja McClendon goes in for Carpenter in the backcourt and comes through with a great pass. You see that Hancock is standing right there at the net, so that pass was perfect.
Tough serve from the Nittany Lions, but it doesn't matter to Brittany Howard as she gets the kill.
Boy, this freshman class, unbelievable. We talked about how they were the #1 recruiting class in the nation, and you're seeing why. These kids have just come off of a high school club season. Can you imagine these girls in high school? They're probably knocking the nose off of defensive players in high school.
Howard now with 10 kills in the match. She's got a double-double, 10 kills and 19 digs for Brittany Howard. Set goes again to Slay. She finds that back row.
Well, Slay hanging in the air, waiting for that set. You wanted to evolve a little quicker, but nonetheless, she was able to score on this. There you're going to see she kind of slows down her approach and hangs, but manages to find that back line.
Audrey, for these young players who've maybe not even played a 5-set match yet in college, obviously they haven't, they're only into their 4th match of the season. What do you think they need to have as a mindset going into this 5th set or in the middle now?
Well, they can't fatigue, both physically and mentally. So stamina has a huge factor. Training to be able to play these extended matches is really key. Even though they've played 5-setters before, not at this intensity and not at this level, as you've already mentioned.
Both coaches had talked about timing, getting used to the speed, and also there were times where they haven't played all their players in terms of the freshmen because they were worried about the fatigue that you mentioned. And a bad service mistake by Penn State and Maddie Martin. 11th service error of the match for the Nittany Lions.
And you can see Russ Rose taking a deep breath, trying to be patient. It is early in the season.
And Maddie Martin can't receive, and the service ace for the Cardinal. They take the 6-5 lead, and Stanford getting a couple of breaks here to go up in set number 5.
We'll look to Stanford right now. Carly Wopat to serve the ball right back at Maddie Martin.
Again, not a great pass. Penn State out of system. Cross court, McClendon, I believe she was bailed out there because that looked like it was going to go out of play.
I think you're right. And Deja McClendon bailed out the bad pass that Maddie Martin sent to her setter. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, you want to be aggressive on defense, so I think Coach Dunning is going to like the effort from his defensive player there. You want to go hard for balls, and that's exactly what they did on that play.
It's Burgess solo stuff for Hancock.
Well, you really don't see that very often, but good job by Hancock. Lining up with the hitter's approach, going straight up and over.
I love you!
Boy, this is just a back and forth match, isn't it?
We've seen the swings on both sides. Each of these teams have seemed like they've taken the momentum, and then the other one has been able to answer back. Ball in the middle to Ajanaku. Gonna get a whistle, double touch against Stanford, and Penn State reaches 8 first. Will switch sides. The Nittany Lions on top by 2, trying to win a 5-set match with their rival Stanford. Would you be surprised to see Micah Hancock continue to look to her throughout the duration of the rest of this 5th set?
Well, I think what has made Penn State successful is that she's also worked in the middle attack, which makes things easier for Scott on the right side. So it's that balance that Micah Hancock has to play with. You know, you want to set middle at the right time so that Stanford's middle blockers respect Penn State's middle attack. And then that opens things up and allows some angles to be hit by the pin hitters.
It'll be Lacey Fuller to serve for the Nittany Lions. Buck goes to Burgess. Triple block is down for Penn State.
The pass is taking the setter off the net and to the left side. Only one place she can go, left pin. A triple block there is really hard to hit around. Look at the eyes of the blocker. They take their eyes off the ball and they look at the hitter. What a nice celebration you see there by Penn State.
And a timeout for the Cardinal and John Dunning. On the flip side, we talk about what Penn State may do getting the ball to Ariel Scott. If you're Stanford, what do you do? What do you need to change here in this latter portion of the 5th set?
Well, we haven't seen much from Rachel Williams, and she is just an amazing right side attacker. So we'll see if she gets a little bit more active here. But I've been very impressed with what Howard and Burgess have been able to do. Again, they're just freshmen. They have been able to take big swings at the ball at crucial times, and they've been able to deliver. So, you know, Stanford has got a bunch of weapons that they can go to. We'll just see which one comes through for them.
In a match that we've seen both of these teams be close in terms of blocks so far, Penn State has now opened up a little bit of a margin. 12.5 team blocks to just 8 blocks for Stanford. The flip of what we saw last year, as we talked about, Stanford outblocked Penn State. Coming up the final drive, that's at 11:30 Eastern, talking about Michigan State and Boise State football. We still have work left to do. As Penn State 6 points away in set number 5. Brett Call getting all that they wanted out of this match to start the home slate for Penn State.
And they sure did get their money's worth on this one. Both teams need to stay mentally tough, maintain composure. Each kid on the court has to do their little job, and they have to do it perfectly if they want their team to win.
Another pancake from Fuller, and the joust is won by Hancock.
Lacey Fuller, wow, making some key digs. Lots of excitement from that kiddo right there. Take a look at this. She runs. 1, 2, big steps to the ball, drives that hand to the floor, pancakes, and then that joust at the net is won by Penn State.
Penn State in the 5th set with this sizable margin. They do their best to hold off Stanford. Bug tries to go over on 2. Grant was ready for it. It's Burgess off the touch and the kill for Stanford.
Maddie Martin making a solid attempt at the ball. Take a look at that line shot off the blocker's hands, which we've talked about a million times already, how effective that is. You wipe it high, off the hands, out of bounds.
McClendon off the block. And the point to the Nittany Lions.
I think McClendon heard what I just said. High, off the hands, and out of bounds. Jump set brings the ball to the pin. We try and always set with about 1.1 seconds from the setter's hand to the pin, so coaches will time that to make sure it's a fast set to the pin.
Another timeout as Stanford wants to talk it over. Penn State just 4 points away. State on top 11-7 in set number 5 as they try to close it out. Coming up the final drive at 11:30 Eastern on BTN. Recapping Boise State and Michigan State. The Spartans trail it in the 4th quarter as Boise is on top 13-10. Michigan State trying to come back in their first game of the season. And Penn State has Hancock ready to serve. Overpass and the kill for Ariel Scott.
Brought to you by
Micah Hancock.
absolutely. She set that thing up perfectly. Take a look. Deadly serve. Pass can't control it. Big kill at the net.
Hancock again. Another ace for Micah Hancock and Penn State 2 away.
Talked about her in the open, and you're seeing why. Lots of velocity, lots of curve, lots of trouble for Stanford's passers.
Third ace of the match for Hancock. Stanford able to receive this one, but Burgess not with a great attack. It'll be Fuller to set it to Scott. Gilbert diving. Back set goes to Scott again. Williams into the block and down. Stanford needed that one.
Well, I thought the kid that was going to bring this team back into it would be Rachel Williams, delivering a great swing here. The block was not hip to hip. There's a big seam. You can see Nia Grant kind of cringing on that one. She knew she got beat.
Scott on the left side. Put up by Hancock. Tough set goes to Williams. Penn State can't get to it, and it's another point for the Cardinal.
You know, when Scott gets caught on the left side, her and Deja McClendon sometimes don't know if they should switch to their home positions. Deja usually left side, Scott right side. They got a little tangled up there, not quite sure where to go.
Stanford putting together a string of points.
Well, we'll see if Rose calls a timeout here or not. The other option that they have is to pull Deja, even though she is in the right front area of the court, to pull her across the court so that she swings left side. We'll see if they make any sort of adjustment on how they set up on serve receive.
And a timeout as the Nittany Lions talk this over, and Audrey, it's a 3-point set between these two teams, and we see some of the leaders for Penn State. 26 kills, Micah Hancock, 22-7 blocks from Slay. With so many young players, but also for these teams overall, what could a win in a 5-set victory over a perennial power in collegiate women's volleyball, what would it mean early in the year for confidence for either one of these teams?
Well, I think both teams will leave here feeling good about the competitiveness that they threw out on the floor, undoubtedly. But when you win a close match, boy, you just know that you can do that again. And confidence, that's what it does to you. You know that you were able to make key plays at really tight situations, that you didn't panic, that you maintained your composure, and that when it came right down to it, you trained hard enough to win that close set. All these teams, there's so much parity right now that all these top teams can really push and extend matches, as you're seeing tonight.
Both of these teams are hoping to build off a win into tough challenges tomorrow, as Penn State will play Texas, and then Stanford will play Florida. Actually, it's the early match is Florida-Stanford, a late match between Texas and Penn State.
Right now in the serve-receive lineup, Scott is still on the left side, Deja on the right side. If they pass well enough, look for the ball to go to Deja McClendon.
Hancock will go to Scott on that left side. Burgess in the back row. Howard, another kill for Brittany Howard.
Interesting point here. We are not seeing the ball going to Deja simply because the pass is not allowing it. But look at the low, quick set to the outside. Wow, Stanford is not ready to roll over and die.
2-point set. Hancock will go to Scott once more and a stop. Stanford putting together the run.
Here's what's surprising me about Penn State. They haven't adjusted any pattern whatsoever. They're getting beat the same way. And perhaps Russ Rose wants to see what Ariel Scott will do on the left side. Is she going to fold? Right now she's hitting low into the blocker's hands, which we don't see her doing when she plays on the right side.
Scott again. She gets the tip over. This 5-0 run for Stanford. Can they extend it? Back to Scott. Burgess. Overpass. Still trying to put it down. Stanford will send it over, but it's long. And it's match point for Penn State.
And they're breathing a sigh of relief to get that one. Wow. Deja's in the backcourt. You've got that other left side hitter. It's Megan Courtney, the freshman for Penn State on the left side. Ariel Scott's on the right side. And number 7, Nia Grant in the middle.
It'll be McClendon to serve, trying to end this match and beat Stanford for the first time in their last 5 tries. It's Bowcather who puts it down.
Wow, what a swing by the right side, but the set again. Take a look at this jump set. Big seam in the block.
What a match for Morgan Bowcather. 11 kills on 21 swings with just 2 errors, hitting .429, and she comes up with the biggest point that Stanford needed at the right moment.
Absolutely. Stanford at this point, you have got to serve tough. Penn State is good enough in system that they could win this on this ball. So if you're Stanford and you're serving right now, you got to take a deep breath. You got to believe in your training. You got to know that you're skilled enough to pop the ball right where coach wants it. Look at the zone that he's giving you and put in a tough serve.
Stanford only playing in Rec Hall for the 2nd time in program history. They beat the Nittany Lions on September 4th, 2001 in a 4-set match. They're trying to go 2-0 in this building. They trail it by 1. Penn State still with match point. The Nittany Lions will have a chance to receive here. A couple of smiles in that huddle from Micah Hancock and her teammates. So Penn State loose despite a challenge in this 5th set right now.
We'll leave it up to Russ Rose to say something that's going to make his team go, what? And lighten up the mood. I'm sure whatever was said at first was intense, and then something was said that lightened up the mood a little bit. That's what you want. You need one good pass, one solid swing at the ball. We'll see what both teams are made of in this play out of the timeout.
Stanford serving down by 1 in set 5. It'll be Kyle Gilbert. Hancock goes to the freshman, Courtney, who puts it away. Penn State wins it at 5.
Megan Courtney coming through big time. That's a big swing, the biggest swing of her college career right there. Great shot. Oh, you gotta love that one. Megan Courtney all smiles after that.
6th kill of the match for Courtney goes for the victory in set number 5. Penn State wins it. We'll take a look at our performance of the match tonight. It's brought to you by Pure Silk. It's Ariel Scott, 26 kills for her, and Penn State, they relied on her throughout the evening.
Oh, they certainly did. She came through playing solid, not only her attacks, but in her blocking game as well. see a variety of shots, and that one that went high off the blocker's hands was so tough for Stanford to handle.
Big win for Penn State in the early part of the season. That's going to do it from University Park, Pennsylvania, where Penn State defeats Stanford 3-2